And welcome to Hannity, and this is a Fox News alert. We are following two big breaking news stories this Friday night. First, new information about just how deep and ugly and grotesque Hollywood, the media, the Democratic politicians have been in this Weinstein scandal. Also, the NFL, well, they seem to be capitulating now to the players. We'll have an update on that tonight. But first, with Harvey Weinstein facing more and more accusations every single minute from a growing number of actresses, as well as criminal investigations now both in the U.S. and the U.K., well, many of his longtime associates, they're just making an awkward attempt to condemn the once legendary Hollywood producer. Now, tonight, we have all the new developments surrounding Weinstein's conduct or misconduct. Also, we'll demonstrate just how many people in Hollywood, in the media, in the world of politics, they all knew about these terrible misdeeds and did nothing. Plus, one Hollywood A-lister says Weinstein's disgusting behavior is just the tip of the iceberg for the entire industry out there. The left, Hollywood, Democratic politicians, they always claim moral high ground. You know what? They can't anymore because America knows the sad, despicable truth. That and much more in this breaking news important monologue. So tonight, Harvey Weinstein's former company, Weinstein Company, is now reportedly considering selling the business or bankruptcy, a claim that they're strongly denying, and for good reason. Tonight, the number of damning sexual harassment allegations against Harvey Weinstein, it continues to grow. Now, meanwhile, Weinstein has allegedly checked himself into a rehab center in Arizona. But British actress Emma Thompson believes that Weinstein's problems aren't due to a sexual addiction, but rather a pattern of widespread abuse across the entire film industry. Emma Thompson confirmed what we have been saying on this program all week. Watch this.
What I find sort of extraordinary is that, you know, this man is at the top of a very particular iceberg, you know, and I don't think you can describe him as a sex addict, he's a predator. But what he's, as it were, the top of the ladder of is a system of harassment and belittling and bullying and interference and what my mother would have referred to in the olden days as pestering.
So when you describe him as being the tip of the iceberg, do you think there are others like that in your industry in Hollywood?
Of course.
Many?
Many.
Emma Thompson confirmed what we have been saying on this program all week, and that is the long-rumored so-called casting couch, the culture in Hollywood. It appears to be alive and well, and almost everyone seemed to be in on this open secret about Weinstein. Now, for those of you who may not know about the casting couch, well, it's rumored to be a practice where auditions are often paired with a sexual quid pro quo. You want a role? Oh, give this person what they want. In other words, well, you may get the role, you may get the job if you sleep with somebody. In Hollywood, it's been an open secret for years. And according to multiple accounts from actresses like Heather Graham, Rosanna Arquette, Harvey Weinstein tried to utilize this so-called casting couch on multiple occasions. But this Hollywood scandal was no secret. And by the way, that could be one of the most disturbing aspects of this story. Now, even Hollywood liberal Jane Fonda admits that she knew about Weinstein's sexual deviance for at least a year, but said nothing. And Fonda now says she should have been braver. Watch this.
I found out about him about a year ago, and I wish that I had spoken out.
Why didn't you?
Well, it didn't happen to me.
I understand that, but nonetheless.
I didn't want to expose, and I will admit that I should have been braver.
Wow, moral courage brought to you by Hannity Jane. Now, she always seems to be on the wrong side of things, right? Now, actress Gwyneth Paltrow has also come forward with her own personal knowledge of Harvey Weinstein's casting couch abuse. A video now surfaced from 1998. Watch this very awkward exchange between Paltrow and late-night host David Letterman regarding Weinstein's tactics. Watch this.
I do all my movies for Harvey Weinstein. That's Miramax for all of you.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky to do them there, but he will coerce you to do it.
And so Harvey said, I tell you what, go on and talk about your movie. Is that what Harvey said?
Yeah.
And in return, what will Harvey do for you?
Nothing.
Really? Well, what's wrong with that equation? As the kids say, you do the math. You know, I'm kind of fed up with Harvey's behavior, and because I'm grateful to him in the sense that he brought you here tonight.
Right.
You know, thank God for Harvey.
An open secret. They're all talking about it. And speaking of David Letterman, another video of the former late-night host has been unearthed from 2013 where he jokes about Weinstein being a total creep with Jennifer Lawrence. Let's look at this.
Is there a big party after the premiere?
Yeah.
What happens there?
Well, I go.
People like Harvey Weinstein come up and want to hug you.
Yeah. Well, I don't. I just need some affection. I don't care.
Oh, you don't mind when a guy like Harvey Weinstein?
No, I mean, yeah, hugs I'm okay with. I'm so tired of, hi, yeah. Just somebody, just hold me. You know?
Oh. And as we showed you last night, there's this video from 2013 of comedian Seth MacFarlane making this joke about Weinstein while announcing Oscar nominations. Watch this.
Congratulations, you 5 ladies no longer have to pretend to be attracted to Harvey Weinstein.
Now, MacFarlane now says he made that comment from a place of, quote, loathing and anger because a friend told him about an encounter that she had with Harvey Weinstein. And let's not forget this clip from NBC's 30 Rock. Watch this.
I'm not afraid of anyone in show business. I turned down intercourse with Harvey Weinstein on no less than 3 occasions out of 5.
Now, the bottom line is nothing Harvey Weinstein did is funny. In fact, I wish people would have picked up on these clues and called him out sooner. How many women, imagine how many women could have been spared if he had been exposed earlier? And that's why we're so outraged over reports that some of the liberal mainstream media, they may have punted, spiked stories about Weinstein's misconduct. That makes them culpable in some ways, doesn't it? Now, Ronan Farrow, he works for NBC News, and he published an explosive report about Weinstein with The New Yorker because he says NBC News, they didn't want it. NBC, of course, they're now saying at the time that Ronan came to them, the story wasn't strong enough to be made public. Now, you can decide for yourself based on what we've learned this week. But here's the problem. NBC was not the only member of the media to spike the Harvey Weinstein story, according to Sharon Waxman. She's a former New York Times reporter. Well, this goes back all the way to 2004, a story that she was working on about Weinstein. Well, that was eventually killed by the so-called paper of record after being allegedly pressured to do so. And not surprisingly, a former New York Times editor, he denies this happened. So now, while nearly everyone seemed to know about Weinstein's behavior and abuse, well, he's not the only person in Hollywood who's been accused of these sexual misdeeds. Tonight, we have a new allegation of sexual abuse against famed Hollywood director Oliver Stone. Model and actress Carrie Stevens told The Hollywood Reporter that Oliver Stone actually groped her at a party in the 1990s. We reached out to Stone for comment. We didn't get a response yet. And yesterday, the director came under heavy fire and scrutiny after he refused to even condemn Harvey Weinstein. And instead, he said, quote, "Oh, it's not easy what he's going through." He? Now, after intense public pressure, Oliver Stone, he had to backtrack and is now claiming that he's appalled by the revelations surrounding Weinstein. And then you have famed director Quentin Tarantino. This is what he said. "For the last week, I have been stunned and heartbroken about the revelations that have come to light about my friend for 25 years, Harvey Weinstein. I need a few more days to process my pain, emotions, anger, and memory, and then I'll speak publicly about it." Quentin, how much time do you need? Now, meanwhile, late-night host Jimmy Kimmel, well, he finds a liberal cause to weep over nearly every week now. But he hasn't shed a tear for the victims of Harvey Weinstein or given an emotional monologue about them. And earlier today on ABC, Jimmy Kimmel defended his lack of Weinstein jokes. Really? Watch this.
First of all, the Harvey Weinstein thing, people like this false equivalence as if that somehow is equivalent to what happened in Las Vegas. I mean, Harvey Weinstein is not a person is not a friend of mine. I'm not in the movie business. And I'll add that that story came out, like, I think moments before we went to tape on Thursday, and we didn't have a show on Friday. So
you addressed it on the following Monday.
Yeah, so, you know, of course that was, it's a convenient. Now what they're doing now is they're trying to drag up any kind of, especially these gun nuts, trying to drag any, like, take any comedy bit I did out of context and use it as some kind of proof. They're saying that I'm calling myself the moral conscience of America, which I most certainly never did.
gun nuts, not the moral conscience of America? Well, I guess Kimmel reserves his late-night comments for causes that are only politically expedient for him. And by the way, speaking of Mr. Kimmel, well, last night we played for you part of a very disturbing clip of him when he was the co-host of The Man Show, asking women, some as young as 18, to feel and touch with both hands and put their mouth on what's in his pants. Now, before we show you, we must warn you, this video is extremely graphic. Take a look. Mr. Kimmel, you proud of this?
This game show is called Guess What's in My Pants. Now, I've stuffed something in my pants, and you're allowed to feel around on the outside of the pants. You have 10 seconds to then guess what is in my pants. You ready?
Set.
Go.
It looks like...
You should use two hands. Two hands. You're going to make a fine wife. You've done this before, haven't you? All right.
Just right there?
Yeah? Just a few more seconds. How old are you?
18.
Okay, good. You sure of that? Because Uncle Jimmy doesn't need to do time. Maybe it would be easier if you put your mouth on it. You've got a nice technique there. You could get in the Olympics with this, let me tell you.
See, 18, put your mouth on it, put both hands on it. Guess what, Kimmel, you're pretty creepy. Yeah, okay, you're not the moral compass, if you will, for America today. I'll agree with that. But this goes to a much larger point. Hollywood, for years, they've romanticized sex and violence. They have made billions and billions of dollars off of feeding us crap and formulaic movies. And maybe this is a wake-up call, not only for Tinseltown, but for the whole country. By the way, 2 years ago, when I decided to become the executive producer of a faith-based film that doesn't demean the values of conservatives and Christians. It's called Let There Be Light. It'll be out in a couple of weeks. This is one of the things that was going through my mind. This goes much deeper than just Hollywood. Movie executives preying on young female actors and models. What about the modeling industry? What about the music industry? Is this type of behavior, is it happening there as well? As Emma Thompson said, Harvey Weinstein, is this just the tip of the iceberg? The next video we're about to show you is from 2013. This is Corey Feldman, an actor. During an interview, he was on The View, speaking about the abuse that he suffered growing up as a child actor in Hollywood. Why didn't people pay attention? Watch this.
I'm saying that there are people that were the people that did this to both me and Corey that are still working, they're still out there, and they're some of the richest, most powerful people in this business.
And they are.
And they do not want me saying what I'm saying right now.
Are you saying that they're pedophiles?
Yes.
And that they're still in this business?
Yes. Don't go into it thinking that it's all roses and sunglasses.
You're damaging an entire industry.
That's beyond disturbing, and it should be brought to light. These are children. These are young adults. They're young kids. Now, when it comes to the Harvey Weinstein scandal, we shouldn't be surprised that Hollywood didn't expose him for decades. And remember, Hollywood's obsession, absolute obsession with Roman Polanski. You know, the guy charged with raping a 13-year-old girl in the 70s when he was 43 years old. And, of course, he gave her champagne and Quaaludes and then raped this poor girl. Well, guess what? In total, the Hollywood director has been accused of 4 separate instances of raping a child or a young teen. You want to see something disgusting? Well, in 2003, there you have all the Hollywood A-listers in their red carpet, including Meryl Streep, giving a rousing applause to the guy that raped a 13-year-old girl. Watch this.
Roman Polanski, with a pianist.
They're so happy, up on their feet, standing ovation about a child rapist. Well, if that doesn't show you how depraved values in Hollywood are, really? You're standing and applauding that guy? Now, but Hollywood's praise of Roman Polanski, it doesn't even end there. Martin Scorsese praised Polanski at the Academy Awards, and actor Christopher Waltz said that he, quote, loved the director at the Venice Film Festival. Waltz and Scorsese, well, they're not alone in their praise, and that's where we bring this story full circle. In 2009, Harvey Weinstein actually wrote an op-ed defending the child rapist Polanski, titled Harvey Weinstein. Polanski has served his time and must be freed. The subtitle reads, "It's a shocking way to treat a man who went through the Holocaust and his wife's murder." In the piece, Weinstein writes this, quote, "Roman Polanski is a man who cares deeply about his art and its place in this world. What happened to him on his incredible path is filled with tragedy, and most men would have collapsed. High praise for Roman Polanski from Harvey Weinstein in light of what we've now learned this week. How insane is that op-ed by Weinstein?" And finally tonight, the last nugget we want to bring to your attention comes from someone with a lot of experience in covering up scandals. That's Hillary Clinton is back in the media. Now she's comparing President Trump to Harvey Weinstein. Now this is insanity. Watch this.
This kind of behavior cannot be tolerated anywhere, whether it's in entertainment, politics.
Well,
you know, after all, we have someone admitting to being a sexual assaulter in the Oval Office. There has to be a recognition that we must stand against this kind of, action that is so sexist and misogynistic.
And this depends upon women coming forward and having the courage to come forward.
Right.
And yet in your book, the three women brought onto stage by Trump attacking your husband, and you kind of dismissed them. Was that the right thing to do? Are you sure about that?
Well, yes, because that had all been litigated. I mean, that was the subject of a huge, investigation, as you might recall, in the late 90s. And there were conclusions drawn, and that was clearly in the past.
Wow. There's hypocrisy. Bill Clinton's sexual abuse of women, groping, fondling, kissing, grabbing, dropping his pants, the accusation of rape. Hillary Clinton, try telling all of this to Juanita Broderick or Kathleen Willey or Paula Jones or maybe Monica Lewinsky even, although that was consensual with the young intern. Remember, this is the same Hillary Clinton. She took literally millions in dollars in donations from countries that treat women horribly. It's literally tens of thousands of dollars for Harvey Weinstein, who also hosted a birthday party for Clinton back in 2000. Remember, when she took those millions from these countries that practice Sharia for her family foundation, like Saudi Arabia and Qatar and the UAE and Kuwait and other countries that treat women horribly, atrocious human rights records, oppressive laws against women, gays and lesbians are often put to death, Christians and Jews persecuted, and she took tens and tens of millions of dollars. And by the way, Hillary, give the money back. And as the left is now trying to absolve themselves from guilt after decades of close association with monsters because they had the right political views, we've got to remember actions speak louder than words. Hollywood, the mainstream media, Hillary Clinton, many other politicians and people on the left, they can all try and lecture us about how to live our lives, but in reality, they're throwing stones from an incredibly fragile glass house. And joining us now, TMZ founder Harvey Levin. By the way, his series Objectified, doing very well. Sunday night right here on the Fox News Channel, 8 p.m. In this week, by the way, he interviews Tyler Perry. Harvey, look, nobody knows Hollywood better than you. Everybody knew out there, Harvey. It seems everybody knew. Everybody talked about it. People even joked about it. But nobody spoke out about it. What can you tell us?
Well, I can tell you a lot right now. We just put this up on the website, and I think this is really significant. Angie Everhart, a model and an actress, went on TMZ Live today, and she told us a story about the Cannes Film Festival, and she was on a boat, and she was sleeping in a cabin. Even though there was a party, she had jet lag, and she was sleeping. She says she was awakened by Harvey Weinstein sitting over her, blocking the door and masturbating in front of her. She said she was horrified, and he told her, "Do not tell anyone," and he left. She says, and this is her quote, "I told everyone." She said she went out, she told everybody on the boat, and there were A-list actors there, producers, and then she went on to tell people wherever she went, she told them about this incident. She says the reaction she got was, "That's just Harvey." She says they treated it as a joke. and nobody did or said anything. So the notion that nobody ever talked about it, I mean, it's so ridiculous that in a city like this where everybody gossips and there are all these things going on and everybody says, I never knew anything about it. You know, I'm not saying everybody knew, but I'm saying that at least Angie, she's the first person that I've heard come forward and say, I told everybody on this boat about this.
And you know what? And here's where the great hypocrisy is. And the very same thing happened to a former colleague of ours here at Fox. I know the name, her name is out there. She's one of the nicest people you would ever meet, one of the most talented, gifted people. She now works out in Los Angeles. And it happened to her. And similarly, you know what? She had, you know, difficulties because it's so ugly, creepy, disgusting, and traumatic. But then you have the media spike in the story, Harvey. You know what? I know people over the years have probably called you and said, Harvey, please don't tell this story. It's embarrassing. But Harvey Levin's going to tell the story, especially if it's ugly and disgusting, because you're not going to cover up for people. And that's the difference. And the politicians knew as well.
Well, look. You know, what I'm telling you is the idea that nobody knew in Hollywood when 30 Rock made jokes on the air using Harvey Weinstein's name, when Seth MacFarlane does that, when he announces the Oscar nominees, when all of this is so open, it's ridiculous to think nobody talked about this or knew about it in Hollywood. As for the media, Sean, there are different reasons why people don't do stories. Harvey Weinstein, and I know all of the business about being liberal and all this other stuff. That said, Harvey Weinstein also has a ton of money and threatens lawsuits. He is a brute when it comes to this. And when a media organization, and Sean, and you know this, when a media organization is really threatened and somebody says, we're going to sue you no matter what, if you're right, it's going to cost you $1 million in legal fees, right? If you're right, it's going to cost you $1 million in legal fees. And that has a chilling effect.
This is real. And listen, I know people that have paid for false allegations because their lawyers say to them, it's going to cost you $1 million to just save your good name. You might as well just pay. It happens all the time. Innocent people
all the time. All the time.
Let me ask you this. It does happen. And you know what? Does ascertaining the truth sometimes becomes difficult because it's he said, she said, and you want to be fair. This guy's even admitting he's a creep. But the numbers of people we're talking about here, it's not one instance or two or three. This is off the charts, 30-plus people now and more coming every day. The only thing I would say that really disgusts me more than anything is this Roman Polanski tape I'm playing. This is a guy in his 40s who got a 13-year-old girl drunk, gave her Quaaludes, raped her. And then when he gets his Oscar, you watch everybody in Hollywood, as I just played, get up and with great passion applauding the child rapist. You know what? I don't care about what Hollywood values are amongst themselves with adults, but I really care that they're not outraged over the rape of a 13-year-old girl, Harvey. That is disgusting to me, and it was universal.
The Roman Polanski story is just hard to even imagine how he could be embraced after that. So, I mean, I agree. Look, I agree with that. What's going on right now is we're looking at all of these people coming out, and there definitely was a lot of this stuff going on and has been going on. I mean, you've heard of the casting couch. That's 100 years old. So it's not like it's new. But what I find really stunning is when you look at 10 and even 20 years ago, there was still a heightened level of awareness of sexual harassment. Yet, when somebody does to what he, or at least what Angie Everhart says Harvey Weinstein did to her, and she is met with jokes, I'm just really stunned that in the 21st century, that's what's going on. It really shocked me.
This behavior is, listen, if things work out the way I think they're going to work out, he might be spending a lot of time in jail, and his money won't save him.
Hey, Sean, let me tell you something. On next Tuesday, the board of directors of the Weinstein Company is having a board meeting. I know that Harvey Weinstein is going to be on the telephone because he's going to be in rehab in Arizona. He is going to be on the phone because he's allowed to be in the board meeting. His lawyer, Patty Glazer, is going to be in the room, and they are going to challenge the firing. And they may have some good points here in terms of how they're doing it. So I know what you're saying, but it's not over yet in terms of whether Harvey Weinstein was fired properly.
The show's doing
Thank
great.
you so
It's
much.
on Objectified every Sunday night right here on the Fox News Channel. Harvey, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. A lot more as we come back on this busy Friday breaking news night. We're just getting started. More reaction on whether NBC News tried to cover up for Harvey Weinstein. That and much more straight ahead. And welcome back to Hannity now. Following reports that NBC News killed Ronan Farrow's report about disgraced movie mogul Harvey Weinstein, well, the network is now defending the president of NBC News, Noah Oppenheim, now claiming, well, he has no ties to Weinstein, but the scandal is not only exposing the rampant hypocrisy in Hollywood, but also in the liberal mainstream media. Now, Mediaite has put out an article entitled Weinstein versus Trump Coverage Reveals NBC News Shifting Journalistic Standards. Joining us now with reaction, RNC spokesperson Kayleigh McEnany, and from the Hill, Joe Concha. Guys, good to see you both. Here's the thing that kills me. And Joe, I'll start with you. Everybody in Hollywood knew. This wasn't a secret. Everybody knew in the news media, apparently, too, and everybody in the political world, they also knew. And in that sense, they're all complicit. How many people we could have prevented the trauma from happening had they had the courage to say, no way, this has to stop?
Or if the New York Times in 2004 went forward with the story that they had, well, that's, boy, 13 years ago. Think of all the victims of Harvey Weinstein that may have come in contact with him since that time. So that's one way to look at it. But good news is, during the next big award show, when somebody goes up there and talks about how horrible the president is and plays the moral superiority card, it's going to ring pretty hollow now, won't it? Now, back to Oppenheim in terms of him having no connection to Weinstein. Maybe he hasn't yet. But here's what he told Variety in their 10 screenwriters to watch profile of 2016. He won that after the movie Jackie came out and got some awards. He said, quote, "It's not easy writing screenplays and doing full-time job, but if I stay in TV, I'll figure out a way to keep writing movies." When have you ever heard the president of a major news organization have the ability to have a side job writing screenplays? This is unbelievable. And as far as standards are concerned, all I know is Salon, CNN, HuffPost, Daily Beast, all of their sources say that Ronan Farrow had the goods. He had actual witness testimony. He had evidence from the NYPD of Harvey Weinstein confessing to groping somebody. And they didn't go ahead with that story. But whenever there's a story based on unnamed sources, like with the U.S. nuclear arsenal being increased tenfold that President Trump allegedly called for, they'll go ahead with that based on unnamed sources. So talk about journalistic standards. That's unbelievable.
So true. And if any conservative is ever mentioned, whether allegations are true or not true, oh boy, it's the biggest thing in the entire world. Kayleigh, let me bring you in the political side of this. During the election, I brought up again and again the hypocrisy of Hillary, both with her husband and even a bigger issue, although that was pretty big too when you look at the allegations of Juanita and Kathleen and Paula and so many other women. But then all the money that's taken from countries that abuse women, that kill gays and lesbians, that literally oppress people of other religions, persecute Christians and Jews. Not a peep. Yeah. She took all their money. Give it back, Hillary. I wanted to give the money back.
Give the money back, Hillary. You have to. You claim that you are a candidate for women, that you're part of a party for women. Well, be for women now. Write that check today. We want to see it. Donate it to an organization. You owe it to the American people, not only because of Harvey Weinstein, but because you actively bullied women while you were in the White House, women who had viable accusations against your husband. And, you know, I just have to say, Sean, this is sick. This is the media elite covering for the Hollywood elite. NBC covering for a remorseless predator, Harvey Weinstein. It's disgusting. There's hypocrisy on so many levels. And NBC, you say you have journalistic standards, but it looks a lot like you just have a lot of cringeworthy double standards.
Journalism's dead, Kaylee. That's my line. I've been telling people forever. Is this now the final nail in the coffin?
It should be. It absolutely should be a wake-up call to people everywhere. Look in just the last few months at NBC. They are the only major network that has not spent 1 second, Sean, not 1 second, on a corruption and bribery trial for Democratic Senator Bob Menendez. They made up a false story about Paul Manafort's notes saying that he had written RNC on there next to donations. They had to issue a correction after the RNC pushed them on that one. There's a slew of very, very, very awful journalistic things that they've done. This should be a wake-up call to everyone. It goes straight to the top. And look, the media is biased, and this is absolutely heinous. It needs to be taken care of, and this guy should go, this Oppenheim guy.
All right, guys, good to see you both on this Breaking News Friday night. We appreciate it. Now, we have much more to come tonight. Powerful debate. President Trump makes a huge decision, keeping a campaign promise regarding national security. Also, Roger Goodell folding to the NFL players. Don't miss Sebastian Gorka taking on Daryl Parks. That's next, straight ahead.
I think it was one of the most incompetently drawn deals I've ever seen. $150 billion given. We got nothing. We got nothing. They got a path to nuclear weapons very quickly. It's a very bad deal. I'm not saying anything different tonight that I have been saying for 2 years. It's a horrible, horrible embarrassment to our country. And we did it out of weakness when actually we had great strength.
All right, that was the president from our exclusive interview earlier this week talking about the disastrous Iran nuclear deal. Now, of course, that was put in place by the Obama administration. Earlier today, the president, he did announce he will not recertify that deal, and here's what he said.
While the United States adheres to our commitment under the deal, the Iranian regime continues to fuel conflict, terror, and turmoil throughout the Middle East and beyond. Importantly, Iran is not living up to the spirit of the deal. I am announcing today that we cannot and will not make this certification.
Finally standing up to the mullahs in Iran, the radical mullahs, and stopping this insanity of trying to bribe them to be part of the world community. Also, another big story we are watching tonight, an NFL spokesman says when team owners meet next week, the league is not going to put players or make them stand for the anthem. He said, quote, "What we don't have is a proposal that changes our policy. We don't have something that mandates anything." That's clear. Here with reaction to both these stories, we have the author of Defeating Jihad, the Make America Great Again Coalition chief strategist and former deputy assistant to the president, Sebastian Gorka, and civil rights attorney, Daryl Parks. Good to see you both. Daryl Parks, we're watching what's happening unfold with North Korea. Bill Clinton announced to the American people, this is a good deal for the American people. That's after he tried to bribe Kim Jong-un's father, Kim Jong-il, with billions of taxpayer dollars in energy. So bribing dictators didn't work then. Now Obama ups the ante. He's trying to bribe the mullahs in Iran with $150+ billion. And finally, this president said, you know what? We're not going to try and bribe you, knowing that you're not going to keep your side of the deal anyway. Isn't it time America stopped the policies of appeasement? Aren't you proud of the president today?
Well, you know, I think the president needs to look at it. I think we need to be concerned about Iran. The deal was a deal that certainly needed some scrutiny.
You think giving the mullahs in Iran $150 billion is a good idea?
Well, without question, now, my understanding that this money was money that they were going to get anyway. It wasn't like we gave them money. So I think that it's a type of deal that certainly.
We didn't have to give them a penny.
But was it really our money? Was it really our money, though? Or was it their money?
Why would you give a rogue regime? Let me play on the screen, by the way. I got it right now. Iranians burning American flags. Iranians burning Israeli flags. Chanting, death to America, death to Israel. Let's put it up on the screen so that our entire audience can see this here. Yeah, okay. Burning our president in effigy and so on and so forth. Death to America, chanted by the crowds. Death to Israel. Really? Why would we ever give them a penny, Dr. Gorka? Why would we give them 1 cent?
Look, this is a theocratic dictatorship. Since 1979, Sean, this has been a dictatorship Why would you have any deal with a dictatorship and give them money to make their dictatorship stronger? It didn't work in 1938 with Hitler. It didn't work with the Soviet Union when we signed a chemical weapons ban with them. They broke that ban before the ink was dry on the treaty. And it's not going to work with Iran. Look what's happened since then. They've escalated their involvement. They've been destabilizing the whole Middle East. And as you said, this is a nation that every Friday in the mosque calls for our destruction. The JCPOA made them more powerful thanks to President Obama, thanks to people like Colin Kahl, thanks to Ben Rhodes. This is now a dead man walking thanks to President Trump, because the deal has to have a stake driven through its heart.
No, I agree. And listen, I think it's proven in North Korea. The policies of appeasement didn't work for Neville Chamberlain. There wasn't peace in our time. It didn't work for Obama. It didn't work for Jimmy Carter. It didn't work for Bill Clinton. And this time, standing up to evil in our time is the only answer. All right, let me move on to the NFL. We don't have a proposal that changes policy. We don't have something that mandates anything. That's clear. NFL spokesman Joe Lockhart used to be Clinton's spokesperson. Really? So the NFL is going to continue this? They're going to take a knee? Darryl Parks, what do you think the American people are going to say to that if this continues?
Well, I think the American people are ready to move forward and move past this issue, Sean. I think the point has been made. We need to find a plan forward, though, that puts something in place to address the issues that the players and many people in the country are concerned about. So I, like many other football fans, are ready to watch football. I think we see the need and the issue that the players have presented. The issue is a good issue.
Roderick, the NFL is full of hypocrites. Let's be honest here. If you can't put a sticker on the Dallas Cowboys helmet after they assassinate police officers, Dr. Gorka, if you can't on the 15th anniversary of 9/11/01 put the date and never again on there, but you're going to allow these players to take a knee and protest the national anthem, you know what? The NFL is just a bunch of hypocrites, and no wonder they're losing in ratings and revenue and advertisers. Nobody wants to watch this, and yet they don't have the courage to enforce their own rules.
Sean, the NFL is committing slow political suicide. That's what they're doing. The president always gets it right when he goes with his instincts. He went with his instincts on killing the Iran deal. He's going with his instincts on the flag, on the NFL, on the anthem. Why? Because he's like, he may be a billionaire and the most powerful man in the world, but he's an American like us, and he knows Americans want people to respect the flag. They love our troops, and they want to respect the national anthem. If the NFL wants to double down, they will pay the price, because the majority of Americans are not behind them, and market forces will dictate. This is political and economic suicide, NFL. But if you want to double down, go do it.
Darryl, if the anthem and the flag doesn't unite us, what will?
Right.
Sean, we haven't heard from the president one solution about dealing with the inequity issue that these players have presented. I think we need a solution from the president at some point.
If the flag that people died fighting under, if that doesn't bring us together, tell me what will. What will?
Well, Sean, that's the problem. We have plenty of African Americans who fight for the flag, but they don't get equality. That's the problem.
Weak, Darryl.
That's a problem we need to address.
We got to end it there. Thank you both. All right, when we come back, the president did something today that no other sitting president has done yet. We'll check in with Pastor Robert Jeffress, Jerry Falwell Jr. They'll explain straight ahead. Welcome back to Hannity. So earlier today, President Trump made history. He became the first sitting president to address the Value Voters Summit in Washington, D.C. Here are some of the highlights of what he said to the group of Christian conservatives.
Everyone here today is brought together by the same shared and timeless values. We cherish the sacred dignity of every human life. We protect religious liberty. We respect our great American flag. The American founders invoked our Creator 4 times in the Declaration of independence. How times have changed, but you know what? Now they're changing back again. Just remember that. We are stopping cold the attacks on Judeo-Christian values. Guess what? We're saying Merry Christmas again. In America, we don't worship government, we worship God.
Joining us now with reaction, Fox News contributor and the pastor of the First Baptist Church in Dallas, Dr. Robert Jeffress is with us. Also tonight is the president of Liberty University, Jerry Falwell Jr. Good to see you both. By the way, Dr. Falwell, I've had the honor of speaking at Liberty, and I am going to be speaking at Dr. Jeffress' church, which is a very dangerous thing for him to do. You may want to warn him about that.
We're looking forward to it,
Sean. We always let Sean
big.
speak we always let Sean speak at the university, but my father never let him speak at the church, Robert.
Well, this is a
That's a good
first, and
point.
we're excited about it.
All right, we appreciate it. You know, it's very interesting because I know both of you took a lot of heat for supporting this president, because he doesn't come from a typical evangelical background. It was controversial in some ways, but yet it seems more and more that the issues of faith matter to this president. Dr. Jeffress.
They absolutely do. And look, Sean, the reason evangelical Christians voted for this president by the largest margin in history was because of his commitment to appoint conservative justices and judges to the courts who will protect the values we care about, religious liberty, the sanctity of life, and so on. And the president is doing his job. He has nominated dozens of judges to the federal court. But your viewers need to know those nominations are being blocked by the Republican-controlled Senate, namely Mitch McConnell and his adherence to these arcane rules. And I'm calling tonight on every Christian, every conservative, to pick up the phone and call Mitch McConnell, Bob Corker, and the rest of this do-nothing, worth-nothing Republican establishment and tell them we're as mad as HELL and we're not going to put up with this anymore. Quit obstructing this president's agenda, which means they're obstructing our agenda.
It's so true. I mean, Dr. Falwell, he's doing everything he can. Even this week, what he pulled off on health care is a miracle, because now you can form an association, a group. You can buy plans across state lines, which corporations have been able to do that have different offices in different cities. So now individuals can do that. They can form their own associations and do it, like all the restaurant workers, all the radio workers, all the teachers, all the sanitation workers, which is great. That means competition, buying across state lines. But he had to do it on his own because Congress couldn't get it done. And I'm not so sure that they're going to do this tax plan in the Senate. I have no faith in McConnell or McCain or Susan Collins or Lisa Murkowski. None whatsoever.
Well, I don't either. And I spoke to the president last week, and I told him he needs to coin a new term, fake Republicans, because that's what those people you just named are. They're not really Republicans. We don't really have a majority in the Senate. And I think that would be a good term for him to start using. But the fact that he spoke at the Values Voters Summit today, first president, sitting president ever, and the fact that he was the first, he did his first graduation speech at Liberty University. The tradition has been for the president, the new president, to do their first graduation speech at Notre Dame for generations, but he came to Liberty. I think it's a sign that he understands that the left, we're under a full assault from the left of all traditional American values, from the support to the state of Israel to even the NFL. Yeah.
Good to see you both. Thank you for being with us. More Hannity right after this. Welcome back to Hannity. So this year I was proud to be the executive producer of a brand new award-winning movie. It's called Let There Be Light. It's going to be in theaters, by the way, coming up in just a couple of weeks, October the 27th. Now, I've always felt Hollywood, I've never liked their values. I thought they always had contempt for conservatives and Christians. Their movies are so formulaic. Now they're so boring. This is a movie you can take your whole family to. And it takes you on a journey about life with real meaning and very contemporary in terms of the issues that we face today as a society. I think you're going to like it. Here's a sneak peek.
Did your wife tell you what I really was before I became a pastor?
Is it important?
I don't know. You tell me. I was a wise guy.
A wise guy?
Yeah, a wise guy. Mobbed up. Actually, that's not what I really was before I became a pastor. What I really was? Inmate 09699-016. Federal prison, Lompoc, California.
You were in prison?
Do I stutter? Or aren't you wired for sound? Yeah, I was in prison. 10-year stretch. 3 years it had in the hole, solitary. They gave me a Sony Walkman and a book to read.
And it probably wasn't one of mine.
Not even close.
All right, that's all the time we have left this evening. I think you're going to enjoy the movie. Write it down, October 27th, and we're putting up on my website, Hannity.com, where you can see the movie. Maybe you can get your tickets early. All right, as always, thank you for being with us. We hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday night.